we bring in a friend who we've known for years and years and years. He's an author, relationship therapist, Dr. R.G. Alan Wilson.
Some expert advice on how we can all talk to them. Joining us now is relationship expert Dr. R.G. Alan Wilson. She's the author of Courageous Conversations Connect. Good morning, R.G.
Doctor, good morning. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning, Janelle. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
And as we mentioned, a lot of people just dealing with anxiety during all of this. What are your suggestions?
Some of the things that we need to remember is that this is temporary. This is temporary inconvenience for long-term gain. And as long as we stay healthy, Janelle, then everything else is recoverable.
Talk to your children about what's happening right now. What are the best ways to do that?
There's some do's and don'ts, right? So you want to tell them that you're going to be here. We're going to be okay. Kids want to know that they're secure and they're safe. So predictability, structure, and consistency. You also want to let them know you have a plan. And even if you don't have a plan, tell them that you're working on one.
Good morning, everyone. Oh my goodness. Good morning. This is yours truly, Dr. RG. This is our Courageous Conversations Connect space, our quarantine talks. Believe it or not, we are in our 18th week of quarantine. This is Wednesday, July 15th, and this is our quarantine talks. So listen, we've got a great conversation for you this morning. I can't wait. I'm kind of flying a little solo, so this is exciting and a little scary at the same time because my fearless leader, director, producer, i.e. husband and business partner, is doing some other things for our household. So he may be tuning in, but he's taught me how to run things behind the scenes. So you guys have to let me know how I do. Good morning, Larissa. Good morning, Charla. Thanks for joining. Unfortunately, because the hubby is out doing some things, we won't be able to be on IG today, but we are on Facebook and we are on YouTube. And so if you have somebody that you think needs this conversation, this courageous conversation, please text them, tag them, share this video with them, go on over to YouTube and hit the subscribe button for our Ask Dr. RG page, AskDrArgie. Also hit the notification bell so that you can get notified anytime that we are on. So again, good morning. Boy, do we have a good conversation for you. And if you all notice, the background is a little different. I decided since I was flying solo, I would just do the show from my office. So let me know how you like the background. This is actually where I'm doing therapy pretty much all day from usually about 12 until maybe sometimes 8:30, 9 o'clock in the evening, Monday through Thursday. So if you're interested in therapy, feel free to give us a call at Faith Connects Inc. or Faith Connects LLC. The number is 215-789-6999, or you can reach us at Dr. RG at connectionsmatterllc.com. So we're going to be talking all week about struggling well. And today's topic is struggling well in the midst of two pandemics. And we're having what I'm likening to the silver lining conversations. I've been thinking about that all week with regards to what is the silver lining in all this mess, right? How do we turn this test into a testimony? How do we turn this mess into a message? And how do we come out of this scenario better and not bitter, right? Better and not bitter. So think about that. We're going to take a quick break from our sponsors, and I want you all to think about what happens, who are you breathing for when we come back and do our breathing exercises. Stick with us, tag a friend, share this video, let other people know that we're on as our crew, connecting relationships for epic wins, and we will be right back. Dr. RG here. Welcome again to the Courageous Conversations Connect space where we're having our quarantine talks. Let me go over here and see if I can pull up the comments. All right. So listen, you all tell us who, Larissa and Charla, who you're breathing for. There's been a lot of violence. I was watching CNN last night with Don Lemon, and he was doing a piece on the world within two pandemics, right? We've got the COVID-19 pandemic. It's still out there. Shout out to Dr. Ayla Stanford and the Black Doctors COVID-19 Consortium. They're still out there doing testing in the Philadelphia and tri-state area. But we know that in the South and in the West, their numbers are going up. The cases are going up. There's some more deaths as well, but the death rate is, I guess they're figuring out what to do, and they're having better treatment and medication for people who actually come down with this virus. So the death rates are not going up as high as they were, but we're still at over 130,000 people who have died in the United States from this virus. So there's the COVID-19 pandemic, there is the systemic racial unrest and racism pandemic, if you will, that's happening. And then there's the elevated crime. I don't know if you've been looking at the news. Of course, you all know I recommend don't watch the news as often as too often, maybe in the morning, maybe in the evening. Get your news thread so that you'll know what's going on. But if you're watching it too often, that's not good either. But there has been an elevated crime in inner cities. Philadelphia has been one of them, Chicago, New York, Atlanta. Last week during July 4th, I think 6 babies were killed due to drive-by shootings. I was just reading this morning where there were quite a few shootings in the Philadelphia area even last night. So crime rate is up, unfortunately. And so we got to figure out how to deal with the anxiety, I believe, that most of us are dealing with due to being quarantined, due to the fear, the unknown, the worry, the uncertainty. All of that brings about even more anxiety, sometimes brings about even more panic. And then last night I was talking to, of course, my brother from another mother, Charlie Lewis, on the Charlie Lewis Show, and we were talking about parents' anxiety around sending their kids back to school, whether they're going to daycare, whether they're going to grade school, whether they're going to college. There's a lot of anxiety around that. So those are things that are challenging for all of us, but there is a silver lining. There really, really is. And so let's go into our breathing exercise. Charla, Larissa, the rest of you all that are viewing from our crew, Connecting Relationships for Epic Wins, give us some thumbs up, some smiley faces, some hearts. Let us know. That helps out with the algorithms. Let other people, we can't do this without you. We can't do this programming and bringing on guests and having these courageous conversations without you letting other people know that we're here. And I know that's nice outside, and oftentimes people are busy very much. So even sharing this post will be helpful. So every morning we do our breathing exercises, and we say who we're breathing for. So I am breathing for the 6 children and their families who passed away last week. There's also the Crawford brothers. I've read a story where the Crawford brothers, who I believe Pennsauken, New Jersey, they were from, I believe that's the school, and they were killed on the Atlantic City Expressway over the course of the last couple of days. And one brother's in the hospital, the 2 brothers were killed, and a girlfriend. And the next day was their sister's graduation. So I'm breathing for that family as well. You all let me know who you're breathing for. And then after we do our breathing exercises, I want to share a story, my story about silver linings. And hopefully we can engage in this dialogue together, and you'll share your stories as well. So tell me who you're breathing for or with. And if you can get into your posture, get relaxed. Put your middle finger to your thumb, your hands, one hand over the next on your lap or to your sides, if you will. That would be great. Let's get relaxed. Remember, we're breathing in oxygen. We're breathing out carbon dioxide, but we're also breathing in good things like hope and peace and love and serenity and kindness. And we're breathing out fear and worry and frustration and anxiety and anger and even resentment for some of the things that are going on in the world, quite frankly. All right. Please also let me know. Larissa says she's breathing for Peace for America. Thank you, Larissa. Let me know, guys, if you can hear me. I don't have my mics on. I have my earbuds because I'm in my office, so I have the air conditioning on. So it's a little bit different than the downstairs space that we usually broadcast the show from. So let me know if you can hear me really well, or if you can't in the chat, okay? All right. At the sound of my voice, when I count to 3, we're going to breathe in through our nose. We're going to hold it for 8 seconds if you can, and out through our mouth, okay? I continue to hold it for 8 seconds for the 8 minutes and 46 seconds that George Floyd had a knee on his neck. And also, we should still consider thinking about Breonna Taylor, whose murderers have not yet been charged. They've only been on leave of absence or administrative leave of absence, but they have not been charged yet. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. And out. Breathe in. And out. Breathe in. And out. Last time, crew, make it count. Breathe in. And out. Yes, that felt good, didn't it? Keep doing that throughout the day. It's going to help to get oxygen in your lungs, build up your lung capacity. Remember, we have to continue to build up our immune system. That really helps us, especially for those who may be coming down with this virus. Perhaps those who are not really dealing with this virus the best that they can. This is really, really important. And then you also get oxygen through the lungs. And Gwinnette's on. Good morning. She's breathing for healing and just in our communities and for our families. Thank you, Gwinnette, and thanks for joining the show. So, listen, let's get right into it. I was reading an article. You all know I'm up pretty early, and I was reading an article on silver linings. I want you to share your story. I'm going to start off by sharing my story about struggling well. I want to talk about what that means, because we all struggle, and I think that that's the misnomer, that we are not going to struggle, that everybody's going to, do so well, and there's going to be smooth sailing forever. I forgot to put my phone on do not disturb, so forgive me for that, for looking down. That's misnomer, like that we're going to all not struggle, and that's just so not true. We struggle. People struggle. We have brokenness. We have issues. We have trauma and drama. There is a struggle, but we can struggle well, even in the midst of these 2 pandemics. And we can identify what our silver linings are, right? What are the things that we have to deal with in everyday life that help us to fully understand that there really is a silver lining in all of this. So when I was reading this article, it was talking about that in the midst of all of this unrest, in the midst of this COVID-19 that came about, unbeknownst to us in another place due to bats. Is that what they're saying, bats? Other countries seem to be doing better than us. Quite frankly, we're the only country that nobody is letting us in their country. They're saying we have not handled things well, and we are still having surges, and we're still in the first phase of this, if you will, this coronavirus, the first wave. We haven't even hit the second wave. So what can we identify that is good? Well, as I was thinking about this, I know for sure that I've been more reflective during this time, because I'm not ripping and running as much. We're in a quarantine. It's the 18th week of quarantine. So most of us have to sit still. Some people are working from home. they're having to deal with their families or their children, and they're having to identify what was working before COVID-19 and this racial unrest and what wasn't working. We also have had to identify what can we focus on that we do have versus focusing on what we don't have. So unfortunately, we are, in a place where, I have said from day one that social distancing and quarantining in a healthy way is really a privilege and an honor. Like, everybody doesn't have a home where they have several rooms where they can kind of go off to their office or go to another part of the space. Everyone doesn't have yard space where they can sit on their front porch and listen to the birds and look at the flowers and the squirrels and, the trees and nature. That is a privilege. And when you start thinking about that as a silver lining, that can be helpful. I know Gwinnetta said that she was starting to garden. And I don't know, Gwinnetta, tell me how you're doing with your gardening, but that is a privilege and an honor and a silver lining. But there's some other things, like people have said that they have just absolutely over it when it comes to, the Zoom, right? Zooming in for Zoom meetings and, parties and graduations. We know that a lot of people have been grieving the loss of their graduations, and they've been doing some drive-bys. And of course, this is the time of year where the weather is nice in this region. So people have, quite frankly, weddings, and now they're grieving the loss of that. But what can you look to? What can you look for? And what can you look at that's been helping you to go deeper in your life? Has your prayer life improved? Has your reflection life improved? Has your physical health improved? I know for a fact that I would always forget to take my vitamins. I've been doing a better job of taking my vitamins to build up my immune system, to, again, think about take my breaks in the middle of the day, in between clients, so that I can actually get some vitamin D. All those things are healthy for us. And the truth is, it really has helped me to think about what I'm made of, right? What about you? Did you think that you actually could survive 2 pandemics and be 18 weeks in, which is almost 4 months, a little bit better than 4 months? Have you thought about the grit that you actually have and the resilience that you have that you might not have thought about before because you didn't really take time to think about it? Everybody's ripping and running. I was looking at the acronym, and hey, good morning, Michelle. Good morning, my Sora. Thanks for joining our show. Remember, tell some folks that we're here. This is our crew, connecting relationships for epic wins, right? And truth, trust, and transparency. This is what we talk about in Faith Connects LLC. Truth, trust, and transparency leads to transformational breakthroughs. So I was thinking about grit. Every once in a while, I get to a place where, because I'm absorbing a lot, because I'm seeing clients on a regular basis, my downtime is late in the evening when I'm doing my reflection or early in the morning. And I started thinking about the word grit. What does that really mean? What does it mean for every stage or life cycle stage that we have, right? Because our life is full of stages. And in those stages, each stage is meant to teach us something. And our pastor talks specifically about quarters. So he breaks down our life into 5 quarters. First quarter, which is 0 to 20. Second quarter, that is 21 to 40. Third quarter, 41 to 60. Fourth quarter, 61 to 80. And then you're in overtime if you're at 81 years of age, that is, right? I know a few of those persons and I've seen some Facebook posts where people are celebrating their mother. I think it was Carla Trotman who's celebrating, I believe, her grandmother who's 93. Shout out to Gaggy, I think they call her, for living her life on purpose for 93 years. So if you get to 81, you're in overtime. But there are some challenges along the way. Michelle is on, Larissa, Charla, Gwinnetta. there's some challenges along the way, depending. So I want you all to think about what quarter are you in? And during these two pandemics, how have you dealt with your grit? How have you managed your grit? All right. So I want you to think about your own acronym for grit, but this is my acronym for grit. My grit stands for gracious, right? Gracious. I try to be gracious in the midst of my grit. Resilient. The R stands for resilient. So am I gracious in the midst of all of this turmoil and all this trauma and drama that's going on and swirling around us? Then am I accessing my resilience? How does that help me to keep it moving, right? Leaning into it so that I can keep moving forward and leveling up in the space that allows me to help people heal. And then my innovation. Am I innovative? That's what the I stands for, because I got to tell you, that's the silver lining for me. I think in these 18 weeks, I've been more innovative than I have been in several years. Like, my creative juices are flowing. Morgan and I are thinking about how we're continuing to scale our business. This is what this show has come out of, the Courageous Conversations Connect Space, Quarantine Talks. It's come out of our innovation. We sat down and thought about, okay, so now we're fortunate enough to be able to work from home. What can we do? This is our community give back to our spaces and places of people who love on us, people who support us, people who affirm us, our crew, where we're connecting relationships for epic wins. And so we're constantly thinking about, how do we create more content? How do we create innovative ways to be helpful to people, right, in this space? How do we continue to allow people to heal, right? You all know I often say, in order to heal, you have to feel, but you cannot heal what you don't reveal. And once you start revealing it, then we can start dealing with it. So in our space, connecting relationships for epic wins, our crew, we're being innovative, okay? So being gracious, being resilient, being innovative, and the T, right, for my grit is tenacious, right? How do you attack, or how do you use your tactical skills really in this time where we're dealing with two pandemics to be tenacious, right? It requires that we're in it to win it. It requires, last week, remember we talked about don't quit, right? That was our overarching theme for the week. And we were still talking about how do we deal with these two pandemics and how do we make it count, our efforts and what have you. This week, we're specifically talking about struggling well. All right. So, and I saw that Karen, Carla stepped on for a little bit to the platform. Y'all tell me, if y'all can think real quick, what have you done in the last 18 weeks of this pandemic, these two pandemics, to speak to your grit? That's your silver lining, right? Because the truth is, sometimes we get so caught up, guys. We get so caught up in what we don't have. We can't go out. We have to wear masks. We don't have the freedoms that we once had. We can't even sometimes go to the hospital if our loved one is in the hospital. Our rituals have been turned upside down. So it causes us to focus on all of the things that we don't have. And then, unfortunately, that's when our hormones kick in, the not so good ones like the cortisol and the adrenaline. And we move away from all of the things that have allowed us to really think about what we do have. What's your grit, right? Where are you utilizing? And if you can actually, I want you to say this to yourself, I've got grit. Like right now in this moment, say, I've got grit. And my grit is going to carry me through to the other side of this, right? Because the truth is, we will grow through this. We won't just go through it. We will grow through it. We will get to the other side of this. As I said in the beginning, when I was doing a lot of some of the other media platforms, I said to one of the hosts on CBS, I said, as long as we stay physically healthy, and then we then tap into our mental health, our spiritual health, our relational health, right? Our emotional health. If we stay healthy in those ways, then all other things are recoverable. So ask yourself, what is my grit? How am I accessing my grit? For me, it's accessing my graciousness, right? When I'm feeling fretful, I'm feeling anxious, I'm feeling upset, then I tend to try to access where am I being gracious to myself first and then to other people, right? And then how am I digging deep to that place, that deep space of resilience that allows me to keep it moving and don't get stuck in what I feel like is my, stinking thinking, if you will. How am I being innovative? How am I utilizing my resources and my skills to keep me strong and keep me moving forward? And then finally, how am I using my tenacity, right? Michelle says, I've got grit and it will carry me through this time. Thank you, Michelle. Absolutely. Everyone today, like if you're thinking about this and if you're passing this message on, have other people, tap in to this platform, have other people sign in, share this video, and then call them up. Text somebody and say, listen, I've got grit. It's going to carry me through to the other side. Where's your grit? How are you accessing your grit? And come up, you can borrow mine right now if you can't think of your own. You're gracious, being resilient, being innovative, and being tenacious. But then come up with your own, whatever actually works for you. And if you then begin to entertain that, right, invite it into your spirit, resonate with it, that will then allow you to be uplifting. Because we are in a space, guys, where there's a lot of darkness. We know that, right? But this platform, Connecting Relationships for Epic Wins, where we're having the Courageous Conversations Connect space, the quarantine talks, this is about lifting us up. It's about being dream lifters, not dream squashers. And I believe we can do anything but fail if we do this together, right? This is a time of innovation. All this research tells us, all the studies tell us that there is power that actually comes from pain, right? Y'all remember, I think it might be Earth, Wind, and Fire. Joy and pain is like sunshine and rain, right? So there's highs and lows to every aspect of our lives. And the goal for us is to tap into all of the light, right? And to speak truth to power. I believe also that love, light, truth, and accountability equals hope and freedom. So when we're dealing with the racial unrest, as we're dealing with this COVID-19 pandemic that is not over, right? And the anxiety of the parents that are thinking about the kids going back to school, tap into the light that you have within inside of you. Tap into, and I'm not saying that you dismiss the fear or the anxiety or the worry, right? I'm not saying you dismiss it at all. What I'm saying is that you recognize it, right? You understand it, you reconcile with it, right? Because it has meaning and value, right? We're in trying times, and then you pivot, right? Once you've reconciled it, once you understand it, once you begin to deal with it, then pivot to what can you do? Because a lot of what we actually do to move forward and to lean in to our next level has to do with our perception, right? I had a good friend years ago. It turned out to be my husband's good friend as well. His name is Chris Pender, and he used to say, we were in a class together, he was like, don't allow your perception to screw up your reception, right? I'm going to say that again. Don't allow your perception to screw up your reception, meaning that a lot of what happens in our life has a lot to do with our perception. So if you think you can't do it, you're right. You probably can, because your perception will tell you that you can't. But if you think that you can, if you think that you have what it takes, if you think that you have the talent, the treasures, and the resources, right? And now, quite frankly, we have the time, then that can move us to the next level. And never before have we had the ability to have time that allows us to really create, be innovative, to reflect on what it is that we can do. And then having, as you guys know, the courageous conversation. Michelle says, doing things together. Absolutely, Michelle, my soror. So I want to, y'all know, this is Courageous Conversations Connect space, right? And I want to read for a moment. And I see a comment from Gwinnetta, so I might actually read her comment before I read this, but I thought the last excerpt in this book was really appropriate for this conversation about both struggling well and the conversation about our silver linings. Gwinnetta says, this is the third quarter working towards overtime. Well, wait a minute, Gwinnetta. First of all, overtime is after the fourth quarter, okay? So you get to the fourth quarter before you get to overtime. But anyway, this time has allowed me to seek God for understanding, guidance, much, let me see, wait a minute, it goes up. Much guidance, gain patience, self-reflection, self-care, and expand my prayer life. For this and more, I give him praise. Working on my grit. Yes. Excellent. Excellent. I love it. I love it. I love it, Gwinnetta. Thank you for that. And Gwinnetta saying she's in her third quarter. For you guys in the chat, tell me what quarter you're in. Are you in first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter? Are you in overtime? For some of my seniors out there, if you're in overtime, I want to give a shout out to Millie Lily from Philly. Millie Lily from Philly. We got a chance to spend some quality social distancing time. She is the beautiful mother of my dearest friend, Velva Lily Jefferson, from North Philly, if you will. And she is in her senior, she's in overtime and she's rocking it out, right? She's in her 90s celebrating that space and that time. And so I applaud her because every time I see her, she drops some wisdom on me. And so we've got to connect with our seniors as well. Larissa says, having daily devotions gives me hope. No matter how difficult any situation appears, I believe God will not allow anything into my life that is beyond his control and beyond my ability to endure. At 79 years old, my grit is to help others as much as I can by talking to, praying, and encouraging others to remain hopeful regardless of our feelings. Thank you, Larissa. Thank you so much. And Larissa says at 79 years, I'm going to say young, right? Because like I just said, talking to our seniors and people who have been here a little bit longer and connecting the dots, that's where it's at. We can learn something from our Gen Zs, from our millennials, from our baby boomers, from our seniors, in every stage. That's what this time space is teaching us in terms of our grit. Tell me what your grit is. Michelle says, spending time in the reflection and prayer, reconnecting with family and friends, and having virtual Bible study with my family. Thank you, Sora Michelle. Stephanie says, I'm 63 and I'm in my third quarter. Amen to that. Like 63 is a good age, right? Where you actually learn some things, you know, along the way, and hopefully you utilize those things that will help you to dig deep into your grit and what you have. Michelle's in her third quarter. Yay for Michelle. I'm in my third quarter, right? I'm trying to rock this out. Third quarter is 41 to 60. And really, you start learning some things, right? You start learning that what your parents said, some of that stuff was really true. And then you start kind of figuring out, how do you utilize your energy wisely, if you will? Cynthia's on. Good morning, Cynthia. She says, oh my, at 55, I guess it's third quarter. We'll concentrate on my grit. Yes, Cynthia. Third quarters are good. All quarters are good because guess what? We wake up and that means that we're here. Roger, hey, Roger, good morning. Roger says, going into my fourth quarter at 62, getting better and enjoying my life journey with grit and a little check mark. Yes. And Gwinnetta says, yes. So listen, thank you for that, Roger. Thank you for Gwinnetta. Tell me, for those of you who shared your quarter that you're in, if you can think of an acronym for grit that speaks to you. Really, I like to deal in acronyms, and ask yourself, tell yourself, what am I doing in my grit, right? And how am I using my grit, to get to the other side of these two pandemics? As I said, if you just jumped on, my grit stands for gracious. How am I using being gracious? How am I actually being resilient, using my resilience? How am I being innovative? And then ultimately, how am I using my tenacity? Gracious, resilient, innovative, and tenacious, right? All of those things represent my grit. What are you going to be representing in terms of your grit, right? For Stephanie, who's 63, for Roger, Cynthia, who's 55, Roger, who's 62, and I think there was somebody else, Larissa, who wins the day at 79 on this platform. You know, we've all learned some things along the way, and we've used our grit to propel us forward, to lean us in to life, right? To lean us into the things that lift us up, and also to help others. So I wanted to read this excerpt. It's actually the last week of the book, and it talks about enough. And it says, the first paragraph says here, we have many messages in the world that offer the narrative that we aren't good enough and that we have nothing to offer. But the truth is, if you are here, then you are here on purpose. Yet it's not enough for others to believe that you are enough. You have to own your own real estate and believe that you are more than enough. Once you make that transformation, you will begin to live your limitless life with less fear and with unlimited expectation and anticipation of your next levels. So here's a few things to focus on. 1, stop apologizing for staying in your own lane. 2, strengthen your health, mind, body, and spirit. 3, breathe, inhale, exhale, release, and celebrate you. And 4, embrace living your best life now on purpose. And I would say, finally, this last paragraph says, finally, prayer, preparation, permission, and promise can move you into a position by creating a pathway to live your best life on purpose. By stepping outside of your comfort zone and intentionally resetting your mindset, you are now in a position to take the necessary risks to receive epic wins. Why play small and sit on the sidelines of life when you can play big and get in the game? By embarking on this journey, you have already won, and the best is yet to come. So that is from Courageous Conversations Connect. Tell me what you think about that. I wrote that as the last chapter of the book because I believe that when people have had enough, when they feel like enough is enough, and I think we're at a tipping point now where people have had enough and they feel like enough is enough, they're ready to embark on their journey, recognizing that they are more than enough and that we are all here on purpose. Roger says, get right into it. Yes, life. Okay. Oh, I like that. I like that. So Roger's grit, his acronym for grit is get right into it, right? Life. So that's his acronym for grit. I love it. And Tyra says, yes, third quarter is definitely 58. She's in her third quarter. Michelle Jackson says, my soror in Detroit, she says, my grit, growth, revelation, intuition, and temperance. I like that. Please journal about that, guys. When you actually, like Roger's saying, get right into it. Michelle, growth, revelation, intuition, and temperance. Journal about what those particular words mean to you, and then lean into that at least all week, so that becomes your foundation for how you're using your grit to lean into life, lean into this next level for yourself, lean into the best is yet to come, and lean into growing through this and being better, not bitter on the other side. Michelle says, amen. Don't apologize for staying in your own lane. I want to live my best life now and on purpose. Yeah, absolutely, Michelle, because listen, for all of our crew, and remember, give us the thumbs up, give us the smiley faces, give us the hearts, right? Those are helpful for the algorithms. For those of you who are not on, don't have other people that are not on this platform, tag the friend, share this video. If you share this video, even when people can't watch it right now, they can actually watch it later and get that energy from what we're experiencing right now in real time. We are a crew, and we're trying to expand our crew. Crew stands for Connecting Relationships for Epic Wins. So the more that you pass this message on, the more. This is not meant to just be amongst us. We want to share the love. We want to share the grit, right? And if you're talking to somebody now, sometime today, just text them and say, what's your grit? And they're going to say, what? What do you mean by that? And you're going to say, listen, I listened to Dr. RG on Courageous Conversations Connect Space Quarantine Talks, and she asked us to think about what is your grit and how are you creating an acronym to lean into living your best life now, right? Michelle says, I love this. And so we were talking about how not apologizing for staying in your own lane is really key. Don't apologize for that. Own your own real estate. So there's been a lot of conversation, right, about BLM and Black Lives Matter and, you know, why do we have to have a hashtag for that? And I thought that's really interesting too, because, and Roger probably was listening to this, my good friend Roger. By the way, shout out to Be Secure, Lace Up Security. Roger has done some work. In fact, he used to be my personal executive security person. Well, still is really, and for Morgan and I, and has a wonderful security firm that if you're in the Philadelphia area, you should check them out. Roger, if you're still in, put your information in the chat so people can know where you are and that you're still out there working. Things are getting a little crazy, so we may need security and need people to educate us on what we need to do to keep ourselves secure. But Roger, if you were on online for church, the message this Sunday with Pastor Waller at Enon Tabernacle Baptist, and I did a shared party with the church service this weekend, this Sunday, really was about not apologizing for who we are. So if we're saying Black Lives Matter, it's because we do matter, and we want people to come on board and lock arms and be in solidarity, especially due to the 401 years of systemic racism and social inequities and all of the brutality and the injustice that has taken place for so long, far too long. We've had enough. But, you know, the reality of it is that if we don't feel good about ourselves, then nobody's going to feel good about ourselves, right? Nobody's going to feel good about us. And so we have to lead the charge by owning our own real estate, by being okay with being Black, by celebrating us, celebrating our natural hair and, you know, our brown skin and our various hues of color, celebrating our rituals and our cultural heritage and knowing our history. What type of security phone, internet or personal? So Roger can share that with you guys. His security firm, I believe it's executive security as well as personal security and also business security. And so we'll put later on all the information to Roger's security firm if you're interested. And I believe he does travel as well. And he also gives information about security. So we want to highlight all the businesses that we are sponsored, that are our sponsors. If Morgan was here, he would probably be doing a commercial, but because I'm new, okay, Roger did put it in the chat, because I'm new at doing the producing and the directing, and I hope I'm doing an okay job. Give me some thumbs up if you think I'm doing an okay job today, because I'm doing both the hosting and the producing today, as my fearless partner is doing some other things for our household, and so could not be here today. But Roger, it's Lacet Security Firm. He put the number in the chat is 215-991-5680. So 215-991-5680 if you're in the need of security or information about how to be secure within your home, within your person, or within your organization. Reach out to him. I have been working with Roger for many years. He is a good friend of mine. In fact, Roger, my father just asked about you the other day, and he said, how's Roger doing? I said, I think Roger's doing okay. So give him a call. He asked about you. My father has been a law enforcement officer for many years, a homicide detective. And actually for that was probably the last job that he had, was with Roger's Lacet Security Firm at the church doing some security. And so I thank you for being so gracious to my dad, who means a lot to me. Karen says, great job. Thank you, Karen. Thank you very much. Giving me the thumbs up. You guys give me the thumbs up, the smiley faces, the hearts. If you think I'm doing a great job of doing the the directing and the producing and the hosting, my husband and business partner and fearless leader, the love of my life, he will be back tomorrow but had to do some things and that were time sensitive, so couldn't be here with us today. So I'm up in my office and I'm doing the best I can in terms of doing all three things. Cynthia is giving me thumbs up. Thank you, Cynthia. Michelle says, you are doing great. Would have never known. Great job, Dr. Archie, producing, directing, and hosting the show. Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate it, guys. So listen, we are talking about how to struggle well. And so in all transparency, although I do this work every day in terms of helping people to heal and helping, thank you. So Stephanie says, we need you. Thank you, Stephanie. I love you. This work is not easy work, right? So I want to give a shout out to the mental health professionals that we're essential workers too, right? We're doing the work to keep people's anxiety levels down as much as possible, help them to heal whatever their injuries are, whatever their trauma is, both past and present, so that they can lean into the future. Hey, Veronica, thank you for sharing as well. She said, I'm doing a good job as well. I appreciate it. And so the other thing that I wanted you guys to think about and please share your stories of how this impacts you. What is your silver lining? Do you have a silver lining out of these two pandemics that have collided, if you will, COVID-19 and this racial unrest? Gwinnetta says, working on your grit. You are doing an awesome job. Thank you, Gwinnetta. Do you have a silver lining and do you have a mantra, right? I encourage you to think about how to create an acronym for grit so that you can absolutely lean into living your best life, but share this information with other people. I want each and every person that's on this platform somehow today to text somebody and say, what's your grit? Are you tapping into your grit? Are you using your grit, right? Let's get gritty together, if you will, and move the needle forward, even in the midst of these two pandemics. That's the silver lining, quite frankly, that we can grow through this, right? And we can be stronger. What do you need to work on? Do you need to work on your prayer life? As some people said, that they've gone deeper in their prayer life. Do you need to work on your physical well-being? Do you need to work on your mental well-being? Do you need to work on your relational health with someone? Get gritty with that and use that acronym to lean into what you're actually going to do to elevate both yourself and other people. I also like guys to deal with mantras, right? And so when we're thinking about silver lining conversations, one of the mantras that I have, and I have many, is related to Dr. Maya Angelou, right? And Dr. Maya Angelou says in her poem, "And still I rise." That's very simple, very calming, very sort of simplistic, if you will, right? That's the best word that I can use to describe it, but it has a powerful meaning. And you all remember I said in the very beginning of Quarantine Talks that we can turn pain into power when we begin to appreciate the process. I'm going to say that again. We can turn pain into power when we appreciate the process. Well, what does that really look like? It looks like we rise, and still I rise. So that means no matter what, not because of, but in spite of what's going on, and still we rise. And so it doesn't mean that you're happy every day. It doesn't mean that you're not worried or you don't have anxiety. It means that you've got enough grit in you to know that on the other side of these pandemics, we're going to rise up. We're going to be better. We're going to be better for it. Because for me, my grit, that I'm gracious in the midst of it, but I've also got this resilience. I've got this innovative side to me that is going to continue to scale. Morgan and I am tenacious. That's what that means. Michelle Jackson says, my silver lining is spending more time in prayer and Bible study and my personal goals. And also that is very profound. She says, turning pain into power once we appreciate the process. And it's true. It's true. Because here's the deal, guys. Here's the deal crew. Sometimes most of us don't appreciate the process. I'm going to go on and be honest and being transparent with you. sometimes I don't even like the process, right? In certain things, like I'm not really a gym rat, right? My husband is one. He likes to work out. He appreciates the process of working out. I really, when it comes to working out, what I appreciate is the results at the very end of it. But the sweating, the, workout, the, going through all of that pain, I really don't particularly like it. But when I was working out and I didn't need to get back to working out more consistently, one of the things that my trainer says is that you got to get to the place where you recognize that this is a process and you don't get to your end result until you grow through the process. And it's going to be painful, right? So he helped me to understand that you've got to you have to sustain, or he would say, go through the pain, but deal with first maintain, then sustain, and then gain, right? Pain, maintain, sustain, and then gain. So it's a play on words, but we can use that metaphor for, in terms of working out, for a metaphor for how we put in the work in our own personal lives. There will be some pain at first, but through that pain, we can maintain, then we sustain it, right? And then we gain, we move to the gain. All of that is necessary if we're going to grow. I don't know any other way to think about that. For people who are not growing, they are settling. They're sitting on the sidelines. Like I said in the book, Courageous Conversation, don't sit on the sidelines, right? Don't allow why we're here on purpose to make this world better or to leave this world better than we found it. Don't allow someone else or this pandemic that we're in cause you to sort of go into your shell and not enjoy the fruits of your labor. But by also, don't allow others to prevent you from growing, right? That's your path in life. No matter what stage you're in, first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, or yes, overtime, right? No matter what quarter you are in, the goal is to win, right, crew? Connecting relationships for epic wins. And the goal here is that we can win in our personal lives. We can win in our spiritual lives. We can win in our relational lives. We can win in our professional lives. And we can win in our emotional lives, in our familial lives. We can win in all of those areas, but it doesn't happen if we don't put the work in. So for you all that are still on this platform, let me know if you're struggling well. That's the goal here. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about the art of resetting our mindset, right? But right now, we're talking about how do we struggle well with the silver lining? And I want you to think all day. I've given you some really good stuff today about grit, calling somebody up and asking them, are they gritty? What's their grit stand for? What stage in life are you in? What quarter in life are you in? What mantra do you have to help ground you, right? For me, it's and still I rise. In the midst of it all, I'm still going to rise up. And as I rise, as you rise, guess what? Others benefit. Others benefit from you rising up, from you being elevated. Then we begin to elevate each other so that we don't put other people down, but we lift each other up with our love and with our light. That leads to truth and accountability and hope and freedom. That's what this thing is all about. And I truly believe, quite frankly, guys, if we become better and not bitter, then we then begin to create a space in our dash, right? There's birth, there's death, and then there's the dash. We create that dash that really helps us to move the needle forward, to leaving this world better, right? And also, quite frankly, to enjoying what we actually do have. We have an opportunity here, right? This space and time that has been afforded to us through the collision of these two pandemics gives us an opportunity to grow through it, not just go through it, but grow through it and to be better, not bitter, so that we leave this place a better place, right? And create spaces spaces of love and light. Ask yourself each and every day, who are you connecting to? What's your grit? What's your grit? Let's get gritty. And how are you touching people, right? You know, how are you touching people? Are you, and Michelle's on, so I'm going to use this as an opportunity. This past weekend, you know, our friend Drake had a Sunday, I guess it was, a music fest. That's what I'm going to call it, where he played music to honor our friend Monique. And it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. We were able to connect with each other because Monique was such a connector. I call her the gift that keeps on giving. And I often think there's actually, Michelle, not a day goes by that I don't think about Monique and think about the fact that because she was such a connector, that's how I met you. That's how I met Esther. That's how I met many other people. And 2 years ago, she passed away. And we miss her every day. But I can guarantee you without a doubt that who she was, her love and light resides within me, and that I continue to give out that energy that she gave us all. And isn't that really the gold standard? That, you know, we don't have an infinite time on this planet. We've got birth and we've got death and we've got the dash. And what are we doing in our dash to make a difference? Michelle says, you are truly blessed, R.G. Allen. God has smiled on you. And I am thankful that I share your experiences and knowledge with you. And she says, it was awesome. Music Fest honoring his wife. I think about her as well. My Moni Love. That's right. That's what you called her, Michelle. Moni Love. We'll definitely miss her. Yes. And that's the funny thing. Like, we called her Mo. I called her Mo. You called her Moni Love. A lot of people called her Moski. She had many, many names, but all of them were just like a bunch of love and light in which she connected. Yes, I feel that she was gone too soon. I feel like, you know, but I can't control what God does. He has the ultimate say. But what I do know is that I'm going to be not a little greedy, I guess you'd call it, not guilty, but greedy, and that I wanted her here longer. That said, I'm also grateful. I'm grateful that I had 30 years to spend with a human being on this planet that deposited such positive energy. Michelle says, Monique made the most of life every day and celebrated it to the fullest. Absolutely. She absolutely did. And many of us are just grateful that we had her to be able to call our sister friend. And so when we think about people that have transitioned on, and that we're still here, what that means is that we carry those persons in our hearts and our spirits. They live within us forever. And then we have more work to do. That's all. We just have more work to do to continue to give out that good energy, continue to utilize what, you know, gifts and talents and treasures we have to pass it on to the next generation, leaving this world better than we found it. And also being able to utilize those gifts to live our best lives. As my good friend Charlie Lewis says, love the way you live. So listen, guys, if you have, and I'm going to try to do this, I'm going to see if I can do it. Let's see. If you have a thought about needing therapy, I'm going to put out this commercial to let you know where we are, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to wrap. So stay with us just for a moment. View this commercial. If you're looking for therapy, if you're looking for resources, please give us a call and we'll come back. So stay with us. Bye.
Are you sometimes feeling out of sync and you don't know why? Do you ever feel like you just need to talk with someone about your circumstances? Dr. RG has provided professional therapy to thousands of individuals, families, and couples just like you. No longer do you have to believe there is nothing you can do. Having a therapist and coach to help you process what you feel is what you need. Dr. RG is known for working with marriages and couples to develop the skills to have courageous conversation and incredible transformation in their lives. Schedule an appointment today. Call 215-789-6999. Dr. RG is healing families one relationship at a time. and transforming relationships one courageous conversation at a time. Schedule your appointment today.
Hey guys, and so thank you so much for joining today. This has been your Courageous Conversations Connect space, our quarantine talks. I am Dr. RG, yours truly. Please make sure that you tag a friend, you share this video, let other people know that we're not in this space, that we are here every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 10 a.m. having courageous conversations. All week we're talking about struggling well. And so I just appreciate you. I thank you. I love you. If no one else has told you, Morgan and I love you. There's nothing you can do about it. And remember, call someone up, text them, let them know we're here, but also ask them, what's your grit? Let's get gritty. Let's continue to make it count. All right. Have a beautiful day on purpose, from my heart to yours. Bye-bye. Bring that up.